My mind kind of wandered a little bit while I was in there because it was just I kind of had a lot of time to do nothing,
Right.
and it made me think about you know humans we strong but we fragile as hell at the same time. But when you think about it, we got superpowers when you think about it.
Explain.
So if you get cut, you heal. It regenerates skin and everything. Everything comes back like it was supposed to be. It might be new skin, but it comes back. So like I thought about it when I had my surgery. I'm cutting from belly button down the sack.
Yeah.
And they opened me up, like, had the clamps in there and everything. And they just stapled me together. They didn't
Yeah.
stitch, they didn't do some stuff with it, they combined everything. They just stapled it close enough to where my body was just like, we missing something. Put that shit back together, and
Yeah.
boom, it's back together. It's perfectly fine. Look, I say perfectly fine, but I'm okay. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
It did what it needs to do.
It came back together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, man, that's crazy when you think about it, because I was only down. I was only down for 8 weeks.
Right.
But 2 of those weeks, the last 2 weeks, I was good.
Yeah.
I just, you know what I'm saying? It was just like recommended. Don't do nothing too strenuous because that stuff is still new. That skin is still new. You don't want to rip nothing. But 8 weeks to heal, that's pretty goddamn impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's kind of a weird. Yeah, I guess you could call that a superpower, like self-healing.
That's what I'm saying. We can regenerate.
What about the inner monologue? Do you feel like that's some sort of superpower?
Okay, so I'm not sure if it's a superpower. So I was watching something and whatever, and it was explained as uh, uh, a fifth dimension.
Okay, so communication with an alternate reality or
Right,
something to that
because
extent.
you can get to a point where you can hear a voice in your head,
Exactly.
and if you close your eyes and somebody say, "Hey, think about a triangle,
You can
a
see it.
blue triangle," and it's spinning clockwise, you can visualize it.
You can
But
see it, right?
what's conjuring that up?
Right, because
But you can see it.
yeah, it's like the inner monologue, the voice in your head is not like it's an actual voice because it doesn't have any vocal cords. There's nothing biological about it that makes it talk. And
Right.
then that mind's eye, there's literally no eye inside your head, but yet you can picture and visualize all these different things.
But
So
think about it like this too. If I sent you a text message and you read it, but you read it as me,
yeah, I can read it in your voice.
you would hear me reading it.
Yeah.
Right. So you know what I'm saying? Like, that's weird.
So is that almost like telepathy?
I wouldn't
Maybe.
think it's telepathy.
Nah, because telepathy, we would have to communicate. We would literally have to communicate by the brain, right?
Right. You wouldn't need it or whatever. I would
But
say telepathy would be described as like people say like twins and whatnot, where or just siblings, really close siblings, like you just kind of make a face or something like that, and both exactly know what's happening. Like,
no, it's happening. Yeah. Okay, I get that. Okay. So we got self-healing. That's a superpower. We
right.
have the ability to be able to um interact within another dimension or alternate reality by using our mind's eye and our inner
We
monologue. What
we
about dreaming?
conduct
Would that?
electricity.
Well, yeah, it's in our heart. Our heartbeat is an electrical. It's electric.
We conduct electricity. Like
Yeah,
that's dope as shit.
that
You know
is.
what I'm saying? So we have all these things, but when we see it in the comic book, it's like enhanced.
It's
So it
exaggerated.
looks yeah, it looks way doper. But
So do you
it just
think
made me
that?
think. I was like, man, we all got superpowers.
So do you think that's what the idea of? And this is going back in ages, right? Like the idea maybe
Right.
superheroes, or before that, it was like gods. Remember, because even like the old Romans, in a sense, the gods and I don't know if it's the Romans, maybe it's the Greeks. I don't know, wherever Olympus is. Excuse me. those Greek gods and all that were basically like superheroes by the way that they told the stories and the adventures that they had and so on and so forth. So I'm wondering maybe if those ideas came from somebody who was just like, you know what, my body can do this, but what if I told a story and he could do this, like on a just like to the 10th degree, you know?
It
Like you ever
could
think that's
be.
where that shit come from?
It could be, man. But you can look it up online. Like there was a guy in India, and he can take a hot plate and just hold it without plugging it into anything, and he just grabs a cord and he transfers the electricity and will heat that motherfucker up, and you can cook on it.
Okay, so maybe that
But they
goes
have
to.
people who have is to the extreme.
I wonder if that goes into that conversation about like the brain, right? You know how people always say we only
Right,
use like 10% of our brain or whatever.
right.
Like, I wonder if there is a way to unlock that and maybe utilize it to like a higher level. And honestly, I kind of think about that a little bit because
Like
sometimes I
taking
think,
shrooms and then all of a sudden your brain open up.
I mean, it enhances. Like if you smoke a joint, you smoke like some really good weed, right?
Right.
You know, 9 times out of 10, your inner monologue is gonna start talking about some crazy shit, right? But
Bro,
it talk about some shit